you saw that, you did not later change your minds and believe him. The Gospel of the Lord. I had the privilege of visiting an interesting group of people a while back. There's a group of lay consecrated men who live up by Chicago, and they're called Memores Domini, the memory of the Lord. They work in regular jobs, they wear regular clothes, but they live a sort of religious life together in common. They pray together, and they try to witness to Christ through their lives. And when you walk into their house where they live in common, when you walk in the front door, in the entryway is a sign. Very blank piece of paper, it's just a very simple piece of paper, and on it is just written this: "This is a place of memory." This is a place of memory. And that sums it all up for this extraordinary group of Catholics. Because these men, there's something different about them. They live in this constant remembrance of what has happened to them, that they belong to Christ through baptism. They live that in a radical way. And that's the whole point of our Christian life. It's not about checking off boxes. It's not about just making sure we don't break any rules. But to be a Christian, to be an authentic Catholic, we have to live in the memory of what has happened to us. That Christ, through his passion, death, and resurrection, has changed everything about our lives. When we look at this parable today, this amazing scripture, the word memory or remembrance is not used, but it's at the heart of what is going on here. The concept of memory is essential to the Jewish faith at the time of Christ and even today. If we look and we go back through the Old Testament, they're constantly commanded, the people of Israel, to remember what God has done. And that's why when we read the Bible, we hear about these great feasts that happen in Jerusalem, Passover, Hanukkah. These feasts were to remember the almighty deeds of God throughout their history. The crossing of the Red Sea, the creation, the rededication of the temple. These feasts were for them to go back and remember, to even act out the things that had happened in the past. But that's not the complete story, because the Old Testament, if it tells us anything, it tells us of the consequences of human sinfulness. Because as much as the people of Israel is commanded to remember God's great deeds, they often forget. And they constantly forget if we look closely. Throughout the Old Testament, it's the story of God's chosen people not living up to the memory that he has placed in their hearts. Not living according to their identity as his chosen people. They forget who they are. Today in this parable, we see this acted out. There are two sons, and the first son is told to go and work, but he doesn't. The first son is told to go and work. He says no, and then he does. The first son represents the Gentiles, the non-Jewish people at the time of Christ. They were not in this working relationship with God throughout the Old Testament, but yet when the Messiah came, they welcomed him and they followed him, becoming the first Christians. The second son, the one who says yes but does not go, he represents the chosen people of Israel, in particular the scribes and Pharisees, those who were chosen to be leaders in that people. They said that they would follow the law, and yet when the Messiah came, they said no to him, and they often did not follow him. The Lord is reminding us of the essential core of what it means to be a Christian, to live in the memory of what has happened. I often wonder, why would that second son, why would he not follow his father? Why would he not go into the vineyard and work? Maybe he had the best of intentions. He thought, today I'm going to go work with my father. I'll say yes to him. I'll go work with him and spend some quality time with Dad. But something happened. Why do we not follow up on our word, any of us? There's that old saying that a man is only as good as his word. But why do we break our word? It's often not because we plan to do that. It's because we forget. We put other things before what really matters. We get distracted. Maybe this second son was like that. Maybe a friend came over to visit. Maybe a crisis happened. But either way, he forgot what he said, and even more importantly, he forgot who he was. That the most important thing in his life was the fact that he was the son of the Father, that he belonged to his Father, and that's where his place was, to work with him in the vineyard. Our task is to remember who we are, and it's a challenge for us today. I think the question that this gospel demands that we ask of ourselves is Jesus still interesting to me? After all these years, however many years you've been a Christian, you've been baptized, you've been coming to church, is Jesus Christ still interesting to you? Oh yes, Father, of course Jesus is interesting to me. That's the answer we want to say instantly. But is he interesting to me at every moment of my day, every moment of my life? It's harder to say that. I might live a good day. I might get up on time. I might go and do my work well, come back, eat healthy, exercise, watch a little sports, say hi to some friends, go to bed. But was Jesus there? Was he interesting to me today? Did he change my life today? I might even fulfill all my religious duties. Go to Mass, pray before meals, try my best to avoid sin. But it's not a guarantee that Christ has transformed every part of me today, that I was all in for him, that I had given myself totally to the work of the vineyard. The Lord demands that we remember who we are, not just when we come to church, not just when we kneel down to pray, but at every moment. The presence of Christ transforms everything about me. That's what the Lord asks. And all of this today is basically to say this, that in our Christian life, we should never reduce our faith to a checklist of rules and regulations and rubrics. Yes, the Lord has given us rules. He gave us the 10 Commandments. He gives us the laws of the church to help guide us and help us to live in his presence. But we should never reduce our faith to that. If we reduce our faith to a checklist, then we have forgotten the who behind the rules, the God who gave them to us. Our faith is not a checklist. Our faith is a presence, the presence of a person, Jesus Christ. And he should be interesting to us all the time. We should live in the memory of him every moment of every day. That's what it means to be radically entrusted to him, to live with that radical trust in our hearts. The parable today reminds us that we must remember who we are. And when we do that, all the things will fall into place. When we remember that we are beloved sons and daughters of the Father, that we belong to Christ, that we've been chosen as his companions, then all the rules and regulations, they all fall into place. They all make sense. So today, let us remember the great deeds that God has wrought among us. The fact that we belong to this church and we are about to receive him in Holy Communion. And let it be written above our church and in our homes. This is a place of memory.